Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Meyer. I'm the Sustainable Food Programs Coordinator at the University of California, Merced. Today, we're here to talk about food and farming and farm to fork specifically, and definitely local food here in Merced. So we've got some folks that have joined us. Michael is our sustainable foodie or food advocate. Rocio is an awesome businesswoman, entrepreneur, juicer. And then Quentin is an executive chef at El Capitan Hotel. And then we have Lena from Humble Rice Farmer. So it's going to be quite a panel. And if anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and put them directly in the chat. You can also raise your hand. But first, I would like to just do a better round of introductions. Maybe we'll start with Lena because she's on my right in terms of where Zoom placed you. So Lena, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and say a little bit about the farm?
Sure. My name is Lena Xiong-Perez. I am the new owner of Humble Rice Farmer. My parents used to own it, but they've passed that torch over to me. A little bit about the farm is, excuse me, I'm recovering from a a sore throat. Sorry. The farm is exciting. I left chiropractics for farming, and it's a decision that I would never change. We do have a few farms in Atwater, Winton, and Merced. We're hoping to possibly grow, but as of right now, we're just locally, primarily in the Winton, Atwater area.
Awesome. Cool. Michael, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Happy to do so. I'm Michael Meloy. I'm relatively new to Merced. I've been here, I think, 2.5 years. And I am by training a historian. I'm a state worker, but more importantly for this discussion, I am a vegan. And we called me on here, I think, a vegan lifestyle advocate. And I guess an advocate is a pretty good way to describe me.
Yeah, we have vegan food and lifestyle advocate.
Food and lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, they do go together. So we'll perhaps be able to talk about that a little bit more.
So I look forward to it. All right. How about Rocio?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Rocio. I'm the owner of Kind Neighbor Juice Bar. We are located on 18th and M Street. Our goal and mission is to provide easier access to healthy on-the-go foods. We try to source our products, produce as locally as possible. My family we do have a farm, a small garden here on my farm. And from time to time, when possible, so right now we have kale, for example, so I have access to that. And then my family, they distribute wholesale produce, and whatever is in season, I get that from them. But if I can't get it from my own farm family, then I do source it from other local farmers. Or if I don't find it from local farmers, then I buy it from the store. But yeah, that's our mission, is to provide easier access to local healthy foods. Our juice bar provides cold pressed juices, smoothies, smoothie bowls, and we are planning to add on some savory items, but we're in the testing process for that right now. Yeah, so if any questions, feel free to ask. We're Kind Neighbor Juice Bar.
Excellent. All right. Quentin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Quentin Garcia. I'm the executive chef here for the Tioga Apartments, Mainzer Theater, and El Capitan Hotel, and future projects coming to Merced in the coming years. I am in charge of anything food here, director of it, and director of how we steer that, and the relation we have in tandem with our farmers and growers here is super important to me, super important in highlighting exactly what we have here in Central Valley, and showing that we are really up to par with other areas that have agricultural significance to where they're located. And it's a lot of fun to be able to try to spearhead and help out other restaurants, other purveyors and growers to highlight what they have and kind of grow the significance of the treasure trove that we have here in the Valley. So I'm very lucky that I get to have all these restaurants, outlets, and event centers to be able to do that.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, let's dive in because there's a lot we can talk about. So first of all, what does like local sustainable food mean to you? So anyone can answer this if you want to just unmute the four of you. And what does that mean to you, local sustainable food?
To me, it means so when it's local, you are getting the best of the best. So there's going to be more nutrients. There's less transportation, so you're saving on gas for that. And yeah, that's why I like the local, and it's also going to be richer. By that I mean like it's going to have more flavor. And it all depends again on how they grew the product, if they used pesticides or not. But yeah, that's what buying local to me means.
So from my standpoint, sustainable food, from what I've learned so far, is we need to be able to find more ways to grow food locally here that will also benefit our ecosystems, our soil, our water systems, and as well as our community relationship with each other.
So I'm really glad that you add the relationships with each other because that's what it's all about. It's relationships with each other. It's relationships with the land. It's relationships with the animals and everything. So thank you for adding that. Any other thoughts?
For me, kind of having that special bond with a lot of guests that come to the restaurant, it's really important that when I say the word local, it has to mean it, right? There's a lot of chefs just in general that use the term local, but at the end of the day, they might get a lot of their deliveries from a giant warehouse that has Cisco on the truck, and they might not know where their stuff comes from. Maybe sometimes they know that they're working with a distributor that does distribute through a warehouse, and that's totally fine. But a majority of that, it's you're not really familiar where your ingredients come from. For me, local means I know where I'm getting my eggs. I know where I'm getting my dairy. If I say a product is local, I have met the people, I have met the team, I have met the pickers, I've met the packers. I have some sort of relationship with each and every aspect of the way that this ingredient came to our prep table. That's what that means. And if we pair local with sustainable, that means I get to have some sort of part in that, right? Like here, waste is sort of inevitable. But we try to reduce it and find a benefit from it as much as we can. And one of the easiest instances that we can do that with is a majority of my compost, my trim, whether it's little lettuces or not any meats, but all my veggies, all that trim stuff that I can't use for stock, that I can't use for dehydration or powders or flavorings or umamis or ferment them, it's just waste, right? So we even save that. We keep it in a separate container, and we feed that off to our sous chef's chickens. She has about 100 chickens that she just gives them pretty much all of the food that we know where it's coming from, gives it to them, and in turn we get her eggs, and the eggs are really awesome. I mean, they're super deep, dark, vibrant, orange, rich, flavorful, awesome. And it's really the satisfying feeling of first off knowing where these vegetables came from, knowing who they are, and then knowing where every single part of it went, and that it kind of came back to me in a different format. In the little chefy sense of me, being sustainable is kind of like another magic aspect of food besides actually cooking it and turning it into an edible, creative product.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Cool. So because we're talking about relationships, it'd be interesting to hear how Quentin and Lena formed their relationship. I know that Quentin either used to or still does get produce from Humble Rice Farm. So how did that come about? How do folks, like in the restaurant world, how do you find partners? How do you work on like the procurement piece?
I can at least talk to how I introduced myself. It was purely online. I saw them in a tagged post. I looked on there and I saw just these stunning bouquets and these flowers, and I was like, these are gorgeous. Especially to have them here in Merced. So I did some more digging and I looked through all their social media. And besides just flowers, I saw them at some markets, and I saw some of the produce that they were selling. And I was like, this stuff is awesome. Like, this is exactly some of the stuff that I want. Why have I not seen them before? And it just became a simple DM. I hit her inbox and basically asked, how can I get a hold of this? How can I procure this? I'm a restaurant. I would really love to be able to have some of your product and feature it here and put the name on the menu. And in tandem with that, it was sort of giving a really quick rundown of the restaurant that we were building, Rainbird, which was to highlight some approachable produce in really unique and creative ways. And one of the things I really wanted to do was have sunflowers on my menu. And so I wanted to learn more about them, and that's when I really dived into Lena, the family there, and just kind of assured them that that them trusting me to be the first restaurant that they were giving product to is understandably a little intimidating, kind of daunting, and that I would be learning with them along the way, and that I would be honest with them, communicative, and basically act off of whatever they were interested in. And it was interesting to talk to the farmers and say, what do you like? What do you have? What can't you get rid of? What are you doing? What excites you besides these flowers? Is there something you want to do, but you can't put it in because you're not sure if you'll sell it? I'll take it. And that's really kind of how that went after the first couple of times I was able to get product from them. It was a lot of fun, actually. It was a lot of fun to be able to learn more and then talk to all of them and start to learn more about their personalities, how they talk, their work ethic. It was really awesome.
It's always a joy to have Quentin around with us. When in the beginning, our relationship had started through my dad, actually. So we have multiple internet managers on our Humble Rice Farmer account. So you never really know which farmer you're talking to. And to be honest, I had left Quentin on red. And then he reached out to us again. And then my dad left him on red. And then he reached out to us again. And finally, my dad, this is where the relationship part comes in. And where I believe I come in. My dad finally sat with me and said, I really want you to take a look at this and talk to this chef and see what he's all about. And me at the time, and I still am very open to it, but I think we were hesitant because we were so new, and my dad, English is not his first language. So I was that bridge between Quentin and my dad. He's very shy. He doesn't talk much, but long story short is that's how we met. And from there blossomed a beautiful relationship that we are so blessed to have. We are so grateful for Quentin and all of the networking, the relationships that he's allowed us to create. But I wanted to talk about being the bridge, because something I noticed is that we don't have enough farmers especially in my age and my generation. There seems to be a gap there.
I don't know if there was more to that and you muted because you have your kids in the background, but I agree. One question I had for everyone here is how can we get students, whether it's like really little kids or our university students, how can we get folks more interested in sustainable food, but also maybe farming, gardening? Any thoughts on that?
You know, coming fresh out of college, I can definitely say that farming, it seems to, a lot of people seem to believe that farmers, having the title of a farmer, there seems to be a negative stigma to it where it's like, okay, you're just a farmer, or, you know, they're so looked as not, they're not valued as doctors and lawyers. And I think that a lot of some advice that I would give to the younger folks right now looking for a career path is seriously do what you love. Seriously find what you're passionate about. If you don't want to go to law school, if you don't want to be a doctor, as in my case, you go and you find out, you strive for something and you realize that it's not what you want to do. And in the very end, right when you're about to cross the finish line, you realize, hey, I want to be a farmer. And I'm not saying that all of that education wasn't beneficial, because it really was. All of that science and math, economics, everything did come into play. So I would suggest that, you know, you do what you love. If you see a plant and you see it dying, give yourself the opportunity to see and try to save it and see how you will grow from that personally. I think that's all I have for that.
Thank you. Any others?
I will, Aaron, I'll chime in just for a moment. This is Michael again. And anyhow, just that, you know, speaking from my perspective as a historian, is that this has been a problem in California and throughout many parts of the United States for quite a long time, is, you know, how are we going to attract people to the farms? My particular research was on the anti-Japanese movement in California. And when young Japanese immigrants came to the United States, they viewed the opportunity to farm as really as a golden opportunity, an opportunity to establish their credibility as future Americans and a whole other basket of reasons why they did it. But then this, you know, then the organized effort to kick them out of California began, and what it was framed as was a way to try to get young white men to farm and to create institutions. And so we have things like the town of Delhi up the road, which was built specifically to combat Yamato. So this has been a long time problem. And a lot of it is to do with the cost. And of course, there was always this perception of isolation that went along with it. So maybe, Lena, maybe you could perhaps address is the old notion of the farmer being totally isolated, is that something that's still in play? Or do you feel more connected now in this time of, well, when we speak frequently of this farm to fork effort, this idea of building community, building a sustainable community, is that isolation an issue? And I'll stop right there.
I do apologize. I keep receiving an incoming phone call from one of my customers. If I can recall correctly, I think you had asked if the farmer, can you repeat your question?
Well, I just was wondering if one of the reasons why in the past that farming had, well, the idea of farming was not as attractive to many people was because of the isolation. The idea that it was more exciting to go live in the city.
Yes.
This is I remember a quote from the Los Angeles Times in 1920 that it was, the city is being inundated with these people who are selling their farms and buying cars and driving around LA making noise, so it was making the cities more crowded. But it was the idea that there was always an effort to try to make farming less isolated. And I wondered if you felt that was played any role in why maybe you didn't go into farming immediately, or do you still feel that there's some sort of isolation attached to farming? That
it definitely did. Growing up with refugee parents and grandparents who did nothing but farm and raise livestock growing up, I thought I didn't want to be that. I remember being young and being told, you don't want to be a farmer. Why would you want to be a farmer when you could be a doctor or a lawyer where you can go and make big money but so I think what I'm trying to say is growing up, I always had that mentality of I can't just be a farmer. I can't just be a teacher. I have to be something more. And I think especially with farming, a lot of students think that getting your hands dirty, getting sweaty, having to, deal with the outdoors. A lot of people don't like that. They don't like the hard labor. Once they truly see how hard it is to be a farmer, the physical labor and how demanding it is mentally as well as physically, I think a lot of people shut it down. They don't want to be a part of it, but I've been a part of it the last 2 years. I left chiropractics for it. As a matter of fact, one of my colleagues, Dr. Justin Lohr, he had called me up and he said, Lena, I think you were on to something when you left chiropractics and went into farming. And I asked him why. And he said, because, and he's a licensed practicing chiropractor right now. He said, because right now, I wish that I had the quality of life that you did. I wish that I still had that joy, that happiness, that outlook on life. But I guess the word is jaded. You really realize that with a big title like doctor or lawyer also comes big responsibility, big duties. Whereas coming over to farming from a completely different field has been so eye-opening to me. And not just farming, not just putting in seeds and growing food, but also financially. Financially, I can say that my farming salary has matched or beyond my chiropractic salary. And that is only because I found something that I am passionate for, something that I care about, something that means something to me. So I think today we need to change that quote unquote stigma. We need to change how this generation looks at farming. There's so much wealth in farming, even though we do face issues like drought, water problems, fees and taxes. It's such a prosperous field, and there's so much joy. There's so much freedom in choosing what you want to do, where you want to do it, and how you want to do it. You make your own schedule. And I just don't understand why I did not see this growing up when it was right in front of me. So I can be someone speaking about it right now, and someone might hear it, but they still might not understand it until years later they figure out that, hey, this is something, there's something more to this. I'm done. Sorry.
I love that. Does anyone want to add anything?
I didn't want to add anything. Just wanted to say thank you. That was a really good answer. I really, you really feel like you have made the right move, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, and it speaks to just finding what sparks a joy for you, and then like running with it. So I appreciate that. So there's some questions in the chat. Has anyone reached out to the Merced College Ag program on this topic? There is a healthy horticulture and farm animal program with students there. They aren't all from farms and are looking for a way to enter the business. I personally don't know if anyone's reached out to Merced College. I haven't. Does anyone know? There's also a similar question. Have we thought of perhaps connecting our students with local farms for employment opportunities / internships? Destiny's at the university, so I don't know if we have specific employment opportunities or internships with local farms. I know many of the farmers locally, well, the ones that I talk to at like the farmers market, I don't think they have anything like that. I once was talking to Raw Roots, and she mentioned wanting to pursue something like that, but just hadn't had the chance. So as far as I know, not so much. If anyone, like Lena, if you thought of pursuing that, or if anyone else knows. We also have Mark Marchini on the line, and I think he's with Vista Sellers. I could be wrong on that. Vista Sellers might have some sort of knowledge regarding that, but for me, that's all I know.
Yeah, this is Mark here, but I missed the question regarding Vista Sellers. What was the question?
Yeah, someone was asking if the UC has pursued any sorts of like opportunities with local farms to connect our students with either internships or employment opportunities at these farms. And as far as I know, I think Raw Roots has tried to set something up, but it didn't work. And I was wondering if maybe Vista Sellers has tried to set something up with the university to try and get like more students and just more folks into farming.
Yes, as far as somebody like working on staff, we've had a couple applicants from the UC Merced apply and to work in the tasting room. I'm not sure if they actually decided to do that, but we've had a couple interests there. As far as like a program, it hasn't been anything that we've done at this point. Same thing for J. Marchini Farms. We still haven't set up an internship program, but from what I know, it's once you set it up, the benefits are huge. So it's something that me and my dad have talked quite a bit about doing here at J. Marchini Farms. Just coming up with the program and having the right mentors there available to the interns. It's just great to expose people to your company at the same time, potentially get a permanent hire. So at this point, we don't have.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me call you out like that. If you all, Destiny just posted career services team might be able to help. I was just going to say, if you wanted to be connected with career services to help us create some sort of partnership regarding opportunities and internships, let me know, because we do have connections to the Leadership Service and Career Office, and we can assist there. That might be some really good collaborations that could come out of this.
Yeah, I'm open to talk about that for sure.
Cool. I will put my email in the chat. You'll also all be receiving an email from me after this with the recording, so you can also reply to that. But here's my email, and we can get y'all set up. Awesome. So I have a quick question too, Michael. I don't know if you can answer this, but I've been really interested in food history. I've got some books on my reading list that I've been tempted to start reading. And do you know anything, like, do you have any sorts of knowledge about food history, or is that kind of out of your realm as a historian?
That is certainly outside of my realm, but you know, I could provide you with some titles and you know, things that you would want to look at. I know that within the realm of the sort of the environmental history, then within the specialty of environmental history, there's an awful lot of food historians. And if you're familiar with the HNet, the Humanities Network, out of the out of Michigan State, which is a very broad chat area. Let's just call it that. But in theirs, there are specialists in food that are talking all the time. I'm not a member of that group, but maybe I should be. But I can provide you with some titles later. And one of my best closest colleagues and best friends is fancies himself a food historian. So.
If they would want to do like an Ask Me Anything, that would be awesome. I would love to talk to a food historian.
And he loves to talk.
Oh, perfect. Cool. Yeah, if you want to connect us, that'd be awesome.
Be delighted to.
Thank you. Does anyone from the audience have any questions? You can put them in the chat or raise your hand. Even the panelists can ask each other questions. Otherwise, I have plenty. All right. Lena, quick question for you. Can folks come out and tour your farm?
So as of right now, due to general liability and a few of the construction things that we have going on, we are not allowing guests to tour the farm. We were anticipating the opening of our new U-Pick farm in Winton. However, recently, we've had some theft issues, and due to safety, we've just decided to push that idea. We don't want to close it off completely. We just want to push it later because we have a different vision for it. We're looking for a bigger property so that we can, a bigger property in a safer enclosed environment, where we can create a farm-like experience for those who don't have it. We anticipate that sometime soon in the future, but until then, we are offering workshops 1 to 2 times every month.
Awesome. Can you say more about the event that's happening? You posted in the chat.
Oh, yes. So on April 5th at 6 p.m., I will be at the Mainzer. I have been asked to give the inaugural talk. The talk is called Tuesdays at the Mainzer. It'll be fun. It'll be fresh. Basically, it highlights anything from art to culture to food here in the San Joaquin Valley. So it would just be really awesome if I could, get 1 or 2 folks out there besides my mom and Quentin and my dad in the crowd. That would be really awesome. We are also offering a gift to those who show up to that.
Awesome. So is it free then?
Quentin, Quentin, is it free?
We can find out that information. he might be busy doing something. Did he?
I'm not,
Yeah, I think he fell off. Maybe he'll be
Let-
back.
let me check my email and then I'll let you guys know.
Cool. That sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So, Rocio, what about you? I know that you have a farm. Are folks allowed to tour on yours?
Yeah, no, we don't have any farm tours for the same reason, for general liability reasons.
That makes sense. Cool. All right. This is a question for both Lena and Rocio. What sustainable practices do you use? Both in the farm, but then also Rocio, in your juicery, what kind of practices do you use to emphasize sustainability?
For my juice bar, we have, for example, we compost our pulp. What I do is I take the pulp and I dump it in my on my farm on the dirt, and then I have chickens, so they'll pick at it and eat whatever they like, and then the leftover just dries up. Sometimes my staff will take it and use it for whatever they want to use it for, but that's one sustainable practice we use. And then our packaging is also, most of it is compostable. We use paper straws, we use paper bowls. We do have plastic cups, but they're supposed to be compostable. Yeah, and so that's what we do right now to be sustainable. Also recently we started making vegan cupcakes using the leftover pulp. And we want to try to see what else we can make with the leftover pulp that we get from the juices.
Yeah, the cupcakes were delicious.
Thank you.
So, what about you, Lena? Any sustainable practices?
Oh, yes. So for weed control, we hand pull all of the weeds by hand and we don't spray chemicals or pesticides. Um, for insects, for insect control, we use ladybugs and praying mantis instead of pesticides. It's just healthier overall for the ecosystem. It's healthier for our plant, their bulbs, their growth, their life cycle. It's especially important because we need good pests. They're not really pests, but we need things like ladybugs, bees, and when we spray those chemicals, it really damages their environment, to not just the pests, but also the good bugs. It disrupts the entire system. It's not healthy for the soil. We also have pest control. We try in terms of rodents, we try our best to trap gophers and rabbits and relocate them. So we use traps instead of poison. We also do cover crops. So a friend of mine from Rainwater Ranch, his name is Lee, and his wife Lauren, they had suggested to me to do cover crop. And the first set of cover crop that we tried was legumes. Legumes are a really good product if you are going to do a cover crop. So basically, a cover crop it's kind of like so you have a crop that grows. After that crop grows, you plant the cover crop so that it will go back into the soil. Legumes especially are very high in nitrogen, so it really feeds the soil. It basically gives new life to the soil instead of us using fake or artificial products or things like steroids. We don't want to do that. We don't do anything GMO. I think that covers a few of our points there.
Awesome. Thank you. So Karen asked, could you possibly sell your smoothie pulp to the public?
Karen, you could actually pick it up. We won't charge. We're not selling it, So if you ever need it, let me know.
And then Karen asked another question too. Is it possible to reach local schools? I know that JC has a little garden at their preschool. How about implementing it into all schools? Also, can you do a meet and greet with the local farmers to bring their products for farm to table? Any takers on that? Similar to kind of what we were speaking about earlier, but slightly different, like the idea of doing a meet and greet or going into schools.
We've had a few teachers ask us to do meet and greets with their students. And most of the teachers are anywhere from preschool to 5th grade. So to keep the children interested, they have asked us to, I guess, teach them how to grow flowers from seed all the way to its full life cycle. But other than that, I haven't had any success really in terms of vegetables and food and fruits, just mainly because kids that age or in that age bracket, they're not really interested in fruits and vegetables.
Interesting. Awesome. All right. Does anyone have a food system hero?
Can I want to go back just for a second and suggest that maybe if we, Lena, I think just said that that 4th or 5th graders are not interested in fruits and vegetables that much. But I think that's a matter of really introducing it to them. And I had a weird thought about the fact that, you know, in the 4th grade, children in California, many of you probably, I did not grow up in California, but many of you probably are familiar with this, you know, build, you know, sugar cube missions, or, you know, bought a kit to build a mission at Michael's craft store or something. And anyhow, and so children take, you know, the focus is on, you know, the missions, and then there's a great deal of focus on the gold industry. But the curriculum for a long time was kind of vague about agriculture and a little bit thin on that. And that's something that I think that when you do talk to teachers, to remind them of just how critical the agricultural industry has been to the state of California. There was a governor, Pardee, first part of the 20th century, and he would speak to the irrigation congresses, and his sort of repeated line was that the 19th century was the century of the industrialist. You know, the big factories were being built and so forth, and he said the 20th century is going to be the century of the American farmer. And I'm not sure if that panned out or not the way that he thought it would, but I think it's really important to think about just how critical it's been. And, you know, as I put a book into the chat, which is a focus on the industrial, sort of the big agribusiness part of it. But there is an enormous number of small farmers still in California that are still working, like your parents working daily, and like you know, working daily to supply food to us. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
There was something that, I believe Michael had said it's important to introduce the children to these products, and that is so true. I remember asking my little sister at the time, I believe she was 12 or 13 years old. I asked her, can you please go to the kitchen and get me a tomato? She came back with a red bell pepper, and I had asked her, I said, what is that? And she said, it's a tomato. I said, that is not a tomato. And she says, it looks exactly like one. I said, no, it doesn't. And I asked her, does it taste the same as a tomato? She says, I don't know. I've never tried it. And being a child of farmers, that's I was also listening to TED Talk about that, but that's a whole nother story. Being a child of farmers, she should have a better understanding of these fruits and vegetables. But the sad thing is that she doesn't. And if she doesn't, then a lot of other students really don't. They don't even know what it tastes like. They just know that if other kids don't like it, then I don't like it. It must not taste good.
That's really interesting.
Hi, Erin.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Cindy Lashbrook. Boys, at least 15 years ago or so now, and CAF, Community Alliance of Family Farmers, was doing some farm to school stuff here. And I think our FUU persimmons were just coming, to where we were producing. So they asked us to come. We brought persimmons. And so that tomato story reminded me of that, because we were, as those students filed into the cafeteria, we were there as farmers and, kind of talking to them and asking them what this fruit was. And a lot of them thought that was a tomato. But at that same time, we were they were handing them little slices to try. So to go through, and that day, they were allowed to, when they got in the line, take one and put it on their tray or not. And a lot of kids did, because they had to see the farmer, see the fruit, have a taste, and just those kind of experiences. I think we need to have more and more to open up. It's the experience. It is a little crazy how people are eating sometimes, and how disconnected.
Hello, my name is Ann Gessler, and I'm going to be talking.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry to cut
That's
you
all.
off.
Nope, I don't know what that was.
Michael put in the chat this H studies thing, and I had pulled it up so I can include it in our update email, and it started playing a video, so I apologize for that.
That was just all. I think there's definitely ways to approach students, and think the farm to school is a great idea.
Absolutely. You do a U-Pick still, right, Cindy?
Yeah, and now, this whole farming thing is crazy. I know neither of my kids were interested, and we bought this. I didn't grow up in a multi-generational farm, and I know my son, who's having his first baby at 36 pretty soon, but he doesn't like to be dirty very much, and just said, "Mom, there's no way I'm coming back to the farm." And he goes, "But you can have the souls of my children." So first baby's in the oven right now, so I'm gonna take him up on that one. At least they'll want to be here, which will be good, and probably won't mind getting dirty as much. But yeah, we have the U-Pick, and marketing, we're kind of too big and too little at the same time. We're not enough fruit to go into the highly consolidated, grocery store chains and stuff now. You used to be able to sell, like Save Mart used to have kind of individual buying regions and stuff. That's not so anymore. And basically, a lot of supermarket chains have basically groomed and helped grow their few produce growers. And, because it's just easier for them to be direct. So it's an interesting time to be a farmer. And we're a little too big to just do a few farmers markets and sell here too. So, but we do U-Pick, and on our 73 acres, only about 50 is that farmable, because we've maintained a lot of the river, the riparian, and actually added to some of that. But it's just nice to have people here. We have a pretty place with the river nearby, and it's got some different elevations, so different crops do better in different spots on the farm. And I'm a little ADD, so I'd get bored if it was all one crop. So that's part of the reason we do that. But we do U-Pick, and especially during COVID, people were just coming out of the woodwork. It's just like, maybe this is a safe place to get outside with the family. And so we got a lot of new people that came on, And then I had more time because of some changes to meet people directly on the farm. So we will keep doing UPIC, and we will have our, unless a new strain of COVID comes in, we're kind of going back to our pick and gather festival again this year. It'll be Memorial Day weekend because that's when the blueberries and the cherries should coincide, along with other community kind of things going on.
Awesome. Yeah, so there's a couple of things in the chat regarding your farm, Cindy. So Farmer
Oops.
Lena will buy your farm, and Cindy, Bob Meat says, Cindy, can you share the farm location or website? And then Mark said, I cooked pizzas out at Cindy's farm years ago. That was a great time, great festival, and with people from all over. Keep it up, Cindy. So good job.
Okay, great.
Yeah, if you want to put your website link in the chat, I can
Okay.
check it
Yeah,
out.
well, no, everybody, it'll be a few days before it comes back up. Right now, it's dormant slightly, but I will put it in there. It'll be back up pretty quick. But I will. Thank you.
Yeah, so we had a couple of questions that came in via the chat that I want to get to. What's the best way a consumer can know if what they're buying is truly organic? Any insights on that?
Being an organic farmer, we have to be certified organic. So it's now a USDA program, United States Department of Agriculture, and actually organic farmers asked for that. We asked for the government to come in because there were so many people just holding up an organic flag or putting the name on it that were, that they were not farming anywhere near organically. So yeah, a certified organic farmer, we are inspected. We follow definitely certain rules. We have to write up our organic system plan. I mean, that would be the number one way, although there's always people that will step around it. So, it's kind of know your farmer and know your neighbor. And if you can get by and look at it, it's always helpful. But, in general, certified organic farmers are the way to go.
All right, so another question that came in via the chat or the registration was, what are the current culinary trends emerging in Merced at the moment? If anyone knows. Like, what are people demanding? I wish Quentin was here because he might be able to speak to this a little bit better, but I would love to answer this with the answer that veganism is booming, but I don't know if that's quite the case. Anyone have any insights there? Yeah, maybe Quentin can relay the answer to that and what he's saying.
I don't know. I don't know if I would have any particular insights, but it's really to eat out in restaurants. It's a real challenge. There's very few options for vegans. These get often when as a vegan eater, we will be faced with the choice if we want to socialize with friends and eat in restaurants. And it hasn't really been that big a deal the last couple of years since we've really limited our visits to restaurants. But prior to that, it was a matter of, oftentimes being faced with the option of, can you serve me this salad without cheese? Or can you remove the egg? Or whatever it is, that kind of thing. Rather than actually having a restaurant that, for example, like J&R Tacos, that really went out of their way to produce things that were specifically created for vegans. So there's not many of that case around here in Merced, but you can find things to eat, and there are restaurants that we can eat at. So, but I don't know if there's any particular trend, but if the grocery store shelves are any indication, then veganism is becoming more popular and more attractive to the big chains, certainly to even grocery outlet. has got an enormous selection of vegan items, and same with Rayleigh's. It's a small section, but it's bigger than it was 5 years ago by a long stretch.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing, which is really nice.
And the number of options for us to cook at home have really expanded in the last several years. Was 20 at the beginning, right at the beginning of the pandemic lockdown, was when Bryant Terry's book, Plant Vegetable Kingdom, was published and came out. And I think that, that was a book that made international waves. He's a chef, a cook and author and cookbook author in Oakland, California, which is only a short train ride away, by the way. Lovely, many vegan options. So hopefully the connection with the Bay Area, as the connections here grow to the Bay Area, and maybe with high-speed train, if it ever gets built, we'll see more influence that way.
Yeah, I hope so. Awesome. All right, we are 2 minutes over. I don't want to take up too much of people's time, but it sounds like there's some good stuff happening in the chat. Cindy and Lena, keep in touch. If y'all need to exchange contact info, let me know. Otherwise, I'm sure you can do that via the little Zoom chat and everything. All right. Thank you all for attending, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.